higher education sector is the high capital expenditure. That is the capex involved in setting up the institution, that is land, building, and physical infrastructure. And that brings me to the two ways in which PPP is undertaken in higher education. One is for not-for-profit basis, wherein both small and large industrial houses, as well as their promoters acting on their individual capacities, have established trust and other non-profit bodies to run universities and institutes, of course, in accordance with the regulations in the higher education sector. The second is for-profit. A large number of entrepreneurs have entered into training, skill development, and employability enhancement. Again, that brings me to the four models that PPP undertakes in higher educations. The first is the basic infrastructure model. In this model, the government tries to raise funds from the private sector for setting up educational institutions. It can successfully do the same either ways, I feel, by using bank services or bond markets and contract out infrastructure. This model, in a way, there have been many contradictions on the same, that this model would not bring any gains in the efficiency of higher education system. The significant problem of deteriorating quality in educational institutions is often due to the incapacity of the government to handle smooth operation and management of the educational institutions, apart from a few exceptional institutions. If the government retains the control of operation and management, the similar story of hundreds of government-run poor quality institutions would be repeated. And the second model, that brings me to the second model, that is the outsourcing model. In the outsourcing model, the private sector would invest in infrastructure and carry out the operations and management, including the core teaching activities of the educational institutions, whereas the government would pay for specific services, such as hostel, canteen, library, etc., as per student basis. The government will also set up standards for teaching and physical infrastructure and decide the location of the institution. This model, again, I feel, and according to many contradictions, does not reflect true partnerships. Here, the government is again trying to reduce the cost of providing education and asking the private sector to carry out the objectives of providing higher educations, and cost cutting is largely desirable here. And that brings us to the third model, that is the equity or hybrid model. Under the hybrid model, the infrastructure for the educational institutions would be developed using funds raised through government and private financial institutions as equity. The equity contribution would be pre-decided by the partnership contract, and the operations and the management of the institutions would be managed by a board which would be formed from amongst the equity holders. And then that comes out to the last model, that is the reverse outsourcing model. The reverse outsourcing model, as reckoned by the University Grant Commission, may be more useful in case of the existing institutions of higher education. Under this model, the government would invest in the infrastructure, while the private sector would run the operation and the management. The cost of operation and management is to be recovered by the involved private player by user charges, that is students' fees, and the third-party revenues, for example, commission from canteen revenues. Though the Planning Commission has viewed this very negatively, this model, there have been contradictions that this kind of partnership is desirable in many government institutions. This model will bring gains in efficiency in the existing institution, as the government-run institutions are often bogged down by excessive red tape, teachers' union, and other bureaucratic procedures, which the private sector can successfully overcome. The private sector also has better adaptability to modern technologies, which would reduce the cost of providing education in the existing institutions. And Ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope this has provided you with a quick overview on a more aggregated level of PPP and perhaps will serve you as a framework for your discussions in the coming days. Thank you very much.
How many models are actually working?
Actually, they have still been trying. No, they have been trying. No, they have been trying many models. I'm still in the research state of the same.
Particular institution, okay, this is for example,
yeah.
Akshay Patra is doing an MBA. Likewise, in higher education, are there models actually working? In a particular city or village?
Yes, there is.
Or
Especially
some polytechnics?
Yes, there is. For example, Christ University has entered into a memorandum of understanding with Tata Consultancy Services Limited on 21st June 2013 under the Industry Academia interface, wherein TCS will design and develop, yes, private, one or more elective compulsory, and then again Wipro has also come up with the same. They have also launched Wipro. Yes. The rest of the models are still under, they are still trying the same. Yeah, thank you.
And may I now request Ann Uma, PPP in secondary education.
Respected chairpersons and guests, delegates and my dear students, good morning to all. My topic is PPP in primary and secondary education, the field evidence and the way forward. Education scenario in India. Since independence, there has been a significant increase in enrollment at all the levels of education. The Constitution of India refers to free and compulsory education for all the children up to the age of 4, as the basic education has been included as a fundamental right. However, a noteworthy proportion of children still continue to drop out from the school, not only because of socio-economic and cultural factors. Some other factors like lack of adequate infrastructure facility, especially for the girl children, like toilet and all, and scarcity of teacher. Nowadays, due to the shifting of employment pattern in recent years, highly talented and qualified persons with teaching skill have moved away from the moderately paying teaching profession to highly paying profession. And because of that, the quality of education in primary education has been reduced. Requirement of PPP in school education. Enrollment in government schools are declined, private school enrollment in rising almost 10% per year. In 2012, about 35% or more of India's primary children in both rural and urban areas are attending private school. As per the ASER Center report, 96% of the children are enrolled, yet almost half cannot read at grade level. Even though India has made significant strides in improving the enrollment levels of the children, a lot still needs to be done as far as the learning levels are concerned. The government schooling India is not up to the mark when it's compared to private aided and private management school in giving quality inputs as to inculcate the learning skill. As well as the fees charged by the private schools cannot be affordable by the marginalized people. The merits and demerits of the both and government and private should be merged as a PPP model. Now I am going to tell about the field evidence of Pratham Foundation. Pratham is a non-profit organization, the largest non-profit organization working to provide quality education to the underprivileged students of India, which was established in 1994 to provide education in the slum children of Mumbai city. Since the organization has established, it has grown in both scope as well as the geographical area. Let us take the Pradham's Rural India program as an example of successful evidence. This is a Read India program. It is established by Pradham. It's a successful evidence of partnership with the government of Bihar with Pradham. This is a PPP mode, successful evidence. Primarily, Pratham believes in working with the government to bring about large-scale change, and therefore their programs are aimed at supplementing rather than replacing governmental efforts. They should not replace the governmental efforts. At the same time, they have to supplement the governmental efforts. The aim of this Read India program to improve the reading skill of the children in grade 3 to 3rd to 5th. Read India is implemented through the Black Excellence Program, BEP. A Black consists of 100 villages where a variety of activities are conducted by local Pratham members relating to 3 objectives. First one is improvement in learning level. The second one is improvement in community engagement. And the third one is influencing teaching practices in the government schools. The methodology which followed by the Read India program is leadership and training. The Pratham is giving training to the CRCCC members that is education officers at the cluster level, and provides selective support to the CRCCs as well as the government school teachers while they are conducting the activities within the schools. The campaign was taken in 224 schools in 200 villages in Bihar, covering close to 16,000 children. They have given the dedicated students, especially the volunteers from the concerned community. They have given allotted time 2:30 to 4 p.m. each day devoted to Read India program in all the 224 schools. Activities. The children from 3rd, 4th and 5th grade grouped by level of reading. Each group called as Mahal. Based on this reading ability, they have divided as Mahal. Each Mahal provided with material for that level and activities carried out according to their efficiency. The teachers also, they put dedicated teachers in each and every group. If needed, the teachers shifted from one school to another school to ensure adequate number of teachers. Because in government, some of the government schools, they don't have not even a single efficient teachers. That's why they have done this strategy. And monitoring and mentoring. Actually, monitoring is a very important role in this Pratham's program because they have put us local community members as a monitoring. Entire program led by CRCS, that is Pratham's group, supported by district level officers specially deputed for this assignment. Identification of purely performing schools done as the additional help can be given, so that they can give the additional help to the school who is in poor condition. Simultaneously, the concurrent monitoring also going. Each frequent reviews and discussion at the district level with the district magistrate, youth groups, parents, local bodies with the Pratham team, they have done the review. Because of this concurrent monitoring and the community participation, the significant features of the program we can see now. The teacher, parents and the local communities act as the garbinger of change, concern and concurrent monitoring is a key function. External evaluation has been done by the Zillas. Actually, they don't want to do the internal monitoring. They have took the persons from the outside, that's Nehru Vivekendra students in the district, and they have done the external evaluation. Initially, when the program began in the 2012 July, only 31% of the children can read short paragraphs. You just imagine the children who are in 3rd standard, they can't even read. Not even 5th standard students also. After this program, this 8 months program, the number went up to 72% by the end of the February 2013. This is the success of this Pratham Read India program. The biggest learning was given focus to plan, government intervention and support from the parents and the communities. Discussion. The PPP strategies highlights the importance of building relationship with communities and state and non-state institutions. Community involvement like self-help groups, youth clubs, parents and local governments in the educational development will be effective and reliable since they are concerned about the own community children. Government school demonstrate better learning outcomes when teachers are committed, head teacher provide leadership and the parents and community care about quality education. Government supporting PPP investing in by way of policy intervention program aid and reward system. RCM Reddy, Managing Director of IL&FS, he has commented that government partnering with private entails will create higher delivery in the school. Recently, our Government of India, they have taken some initiation in the PPP in primary education that they are going to establish 2,500 model schools in the 41 selected blocks. Actually, that school will roll out from 2015 to 16. This source given by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Their government has shortlisted 41 blocks to establish this school. The private, in this PPP mode, the private players will invest in land building and management of the school, and the state government, they would help them, the privates, in acquiring land for schools. The private, in the sense, most of the private stakeholders are from corporates like TCS, ILNFS, and Vibro, especially Asim Premji Foundation, one of the, this is a part of Vibro Foundation. They are doing the CSR activities in education. They are going to establish 2,500 model schools in 41 blocks. These schools would have at least 40% selected students from whom no fees will be charged. That's the specialty of this school. The aim of this school, a model school, will have infrastructure facilities at least of the same standard as a KV, Kendra Vidyalayas, and with stifless and people-teacher ratios is 1:25, ICT usage, holistic educational environment, appropriate curriculum, and emphasis on output and outcome. The standards of a model school will be up as with Kendra Vidyalaya school, and the target for the performance in board examinations should also be at par with the average performance of Kendra Vidyalaya Sangeetam school. To provide access to high quality, the main aim of this model school establishment is to provide access to high quality education at the block level through these children of school of excellence, so that every block in the country will have at least one such school as a model school, would be a model for the other schools in the block. They can learn from the model school. That is the main aim of this model school establishment. All around, development of the children of the school is the main goal of this program. The CSR, the profit-making organization like CSR, other big NGOs, these other organizations should increase their interest on investing their income. Actually, CSR is a part, they have to invest a certain 2%, at least 2% of the profit to the social responsibility. That investment they should put in education, so that the illiteracy ratio of India will come down, and the economic growth through education will go up for the betterment of each and every citizen in India. Thank you.
Thank you. But let me just put a sharp question. What is the relationship between